video today is about, there's a bunch of different stuff on it. So I'm going to start with that in 1 minute. Good morning.
Good morning, Russell. Good morning, John.
All right. So I'll give it 1 minute and then we're going to go with this video. Content may not be politically correct. All righty.
Yeah, that's the story of our
life.
Most of our content's been fairly correct of late, but
yeah, we had that one episode.
Yeah, we ran suckers as an opening video, so
people got a little upset.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I have no idea why either. All right, here we go. Good morning.
Morning.
There's a certain kind of person who doesn't take no for an answer. They don't walk in quietly. They parade in. Trailblazing, eyebrow raising, status quo breaking. Grazing greatness, braving hatred, and taking up space. Never got a seat at the table, so they can't sit and behave. They'd rather defy the rules and amaze. There's a certain kind of person who doesn't wait for greatness.
Number 10, Alan Mulally, former president and CEO of Ford Motor Company. Under this executive's leadership, Ford became the only American car company to dodge the government bailout at the onset of the Great Recession. Prior to his tenure as CEO with the auto manufacturing giant, Mulally looked to the skies as an engineer for Boeing. Number 9, Jamie Dimon, chairman, president, and CEO of JP Morgan Chase.
It is an honor, a privilege, and a very deep responsibility to be a leader of a small group or a bigger group.
Number 8, Maurice Lévy, CEO of Publicis Group.
Bonjour. So, here we are again.
To not recognize this man's name would be ironic. Known as Monsieur Big in the world of advertising, this French tycoon has earned his spotlight as CEO of Publicis Group, one of the world's big 4 advertising agencies.
I think innovation and creativity can come from anywhere.
Number 7, Lee Iacocca, former chairman, president, and CEO of Chrysler Corporation.
A lot of people think America can't cut the mustard anymore, that quality counts for nothing, and hard work for even less, and commitment, that went out with a hula hoop.
He's the man to thank for the Ford Mustang and Pinto, which, depending on how you look at it, is both a blessing and a curse. Number 6, Lou Gerstner, former chairman and CEO of IBM.
I think what my leadership style is to get people to fear staying in place.
Number 5, Tim Cook, CEO of Apple Inc.
We're very simple people at Apple. We focus on making the world's best product and enriching people's lives.
Number 4, Lakshmi Mittal, chairman and CEO of ArcelorMittal.
We have succeeded in transforming ourselves into a profitable and sustainable industry. With more than 310,000 employees, the company spans the globe.
As partial owner, chairman, and CEO of the world's largest producer of steel, Mittal has been appropriately dubbed the King of Steel. Number 3, Roberto Goizueta, former chairman and CEO of the Coca-Cola Company.
The true heritage of the Coca-Cola system is its character.
This native of Cuba made Coca-Cola the brand it is today. Working his way up the corporate ladder, Goizueta began his Coke career as a bottler, eventually taking a chemical engineering job and finally earning the top job in 1980. Number 2, Alfred P. Sloan, former chairman, president, and CEO of General Motors.
It was a tremendous reward for a tremendous accomplishment. That's what made America possible.
Placed at the helm of GM at the dawn of the Roaring '20s, Sloan captained the company through good times and bad, surviving the Great Depression and World War II. He was also a well-known philanthropist, with the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation becoming an important charitable organization in the U.S. Number 1, Jack Welch, former chairman and CEO of General Electric. Just over 20 years later, he became the company's youngest CEO and began utilizing tactics which, although considered brutal, were ultimately successful and respected by the competition. Some of these practices included firing the bottom 10% of his managers each year and getting out of unsuccessful product segments.
So those are a few. If you're interested in that, the link for that YouTube video, just send me an email. It's 10 sort of leaders that I think are trailblazers. More importantly, they're not your typical. They excluded tech, with the exception, I think, of Cook, and they excluded a couple other things. But it's pretty interesting. It's from Watch Mojo. If you're not familiar with that channel, highly recommend. There's lots of great content on there. So good morning and welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the AutoHub show.
And now a word from one of our sponsors. This is Gail.
Hi, this is Gail Rubenstein, the founder and CEO of Retail Resilient. Car dealers all over the country love working with us, and let me tell you why. We have two product solutions that they absolutely love using. The first product solution is a Facebook and Instagram school, where we build out a curriculum for salespeople and managers. We teach them how to create new car offers, used car offers, and get pre-approved offers. We also have a campaign management program where we generate leads for them, and then they do what they do best, they sell cars. So we train their sales staff on how to handle social media leads. Our car dealers typically say to us, I had the highest grossing month in the history of my business. I'm up double in my volume year over year. We even had a client the other day that told me that he was absolutely blessed because he loved our customer service. Everyone at Retail Resilient works remotely from home. I hire only car people from all over the country, so I hire all A players. They're really good at what they do, and we absolutely love helping car dealers. So give us a try, give us a shout. You know, any opportunity, we would love to see if we're a fit to work with you.
Thanks, Gail. And I always like to do a couple books. Effective Dealer by our former guest, Max Zanin. He's also got those books now in Russian, just in case you weren't aware. Driven, The Race to Create the Autonomous Car by Alex Davies, and Automotive 101, The Car Industry Exposed from Jonathan Michaels. From Barry.
Hi, this is Barry Jordan from WhiteGlovePerformanceGroup.com. I'd like to take a few moments of your time to share how we can make you more profitable. Dealerships all over North America are using our cloud-based power dialing platform, Touchpoint, to manage their outbound sales-generating phone calls. With Touchpoint, your agents can make up to 50 calls an hour. Leave a voicemail, send an email with a link to a video or to your website, all with a click of the mouse. We specialize in empowering your teams to make the calls that make the sales. How can Touchpoint help you increase profit? Check us out, WhiteGlovePerformanceGroup.com. That's WhiteGlovePerformanceGroup.com.
And Jeff will go over our disclaimer.
Yes, my favorite part of the show, the disclaimer, just telling everybody the views and opinions on this show are those of our guest speakers and our guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the AutoHub show or Ian Nethercott or myself, Jeff Polo. Whether we agree with it or not, we officially don't agree necessarily. And please read our disclaimer on our website or on here so that you know that anything said here ain't our fault.
In a busy dealership environment, finding time, ways, and means to maximize sales potential can seem overwhelming. And that's where we come in with the Performance Management Partnership, a unique and proven solution to help you increase sales and market share. The program includes needs-specific skills training, coaching, mentoring, and counseling. By focusing on critical factors, behavior goals, outcome goals, and performance-specific analytics, we help you build an effective, high-performance sales culture. As your team increases sales by an average of just 1 or 2 deals per month per sales rep, the math will speak for itself. For example, 2 additional sales times 6 sales reps over 12 months equals 144 additional sales per year. Multiply that by an average front and back-end gross of $3,000, and you just made an extra $432,000. We've helped dealerships achieve closing ratios as high as 51.9% and volume increases as high as 43.7%. And we do this with the program's ongoing support, weekly phone conferences, monthly on-site meetings, and precise feedback targeting specific needs. Call us to learn more.
Thanks, John. Now, Jeff, we'll go ahead and get started.
Yes, good morning again, everybody. This morning is our Trailblazer show, and we have three really interesting Trailblazers on there. But before I get to that, I do have to say, please check out our sponsors, not just because they're our sponsors, but some really great stuff there. I've looked into Retail Resilience Facebook programs, and wow, it really is something. White Glove, I know Ian's used quite extensively in his real job, and many people from Automotive Business Solutions, our friend John, who is here today, tremendous processes and the real way of doing things. So please check them out. But today we have our Trailblazers show, and now that we spent a lot of time on other stuff, we'll talk about our Trailblazers. First Trailblazer we have here today, coming to us from a teeny tiny little town called the General New York City area, is Bill William Camastro. And Camastro, I don't know, sorry, Bill. But Bill, can you take a moment to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody, and thanks for having me, Jeff and Ian. Glad to be here, and thanks for your participation in hashtag Level Up. You guys are a great addition. But from the New York, I grew up in the Bronx, place where many of you are familiar with and wouldn't want to visit. And we have we're the #1 Cadillac dealer in the Northeast, and we're in the top 10 or 15 in the country. I've worked with 3 public companies over a 20-some year period of time, 37 years in the car business. And I'm one of those guys that can never learn enough. I realized about 10 years ago, if I didn't stay current and try to stay ahead of the curve a little bit with digital marketing and all the nuances in the car business, that I'd become a dinosaur. So I invest my time in people like Jeff and Ian, and to stay involved as much as I can. So that's where I'm at. And in fact, I know one of your other guests very well. Another guy is part of our group. So thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate being here.
Well, we really appreciate you being here. And of course, you're a Trailblazer. They're founder of Level Up, and of course, part of a small Cadillac dealer out there in the Northeast. If you can make a claim that you're the biggest in the Northeast U.S., wow, there's not a lot of places that you could say you're better than maybe in the Northeast area of Beijing. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Second, coming from us from really a very large metropolitan area, St. Helens, Oregon, is Andrew Suvanvich. Did I get it right, Andrew?
Yes, you did. You did.
Hey, now you'll take my calls. He's the dealer and general manager of St. Helens Auto Center Ford and Chrysler, again in St. Helens, Oregon, famous for the former volcano. Don't know what it is now. Maybe it still is. Andrew, can you take a moment and introduce yourself?
Hey, yeah, guys. Thanks a lot for having me. It's nice to see you guys. Know a couple familiar faces on here, and again, like Bill mentioned, from that Level Up group. But about out here in St. Helens for about 5 years. It's my first store. Got a Ford and a Chrysler store, and I am a longtime car guy. I started 15 years old washing cars and kind of sat at many seats in the dealership. Found an opportunity a few years back, and really, I think probably a little bit more difficult than I really will say it, but fought tooth and nail to kind of put everything together, move families, and sell everything you have, and go off on this endeavor. So I got a really big passion for not just the industry, but for the people in it. And being in the industry for so long, you look at some of the other industries, and you look at some of the opportunity our industry really has, and it fills me up. So yeah, got 3 kids, 2 in high school, one in middle school, and I'm a big avid kite surfer, so which is why I know Squamish so well, Cole.
Well, thank you very much. I've got to tell you something. For a guy who over Zoom looks only about 25, having kids in high school, wow. Same thing.
Well, you start. You got to go. You got to go. We don't like to wait. We like to get it going.
Yeah. The old days they used to say about the car business, it aged you. But obviously, with you and Bill, they're saying 37 years. Yeah, he looks 45, and it's really something. But thank you very much. it takes a lot to run something, multiple stores in a small center. So again, that's the reason you're a trailblazer. And speaking of trailblazers, we have Cole, I better get this right. Kaczynski?
Nailed it.
Cole is the Vice President of Marketing from Foundation Automotive Group. And I do have to say something we didn't know. This company is a real trailblazing company. One thing I didn't know was they started in 2017, 4 years ago, and today they now have 21 stores spanning the U.S. and Canada. And unlike many groups that we find these days, they're either Canadian or American. We'll call you a Can-Am group. So Cole, can you take a moment and introduce yourself? And thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, Cole Kaczynski. Moved down here to Texas. So we kind of moved our head office right in the middle of the pandemic, actually. So I moved the beginning of March, right before all the lockdowns came in Texas. Believe it or not, we were locked down in Texas for a little while. Just opened up a little bit before. But yeah, Foundation Automotive, we've been in operations for 4 years. I believe our first year, as I was saying before the show, first store was in Squamish, British Columbia. Drayton Valley was our second store. And then the next year we bought, I believe, 10 stores. Now we're at 21 stores with expectations to grow to 40 by the end of the year. So aggressively growing, lots of great opportunities out there. But more than anything, we have great partners, great managing partners, and a really great team at Foundation that's helping us grow and meet our goals.
Fantastic. And a little bit about your history in the business?
Yeah, my history, I grew up in automotive. So my father owned a dealership from basically the day I was born. So started working when I was 15, sweeping the shop, washing cars. And then through college, I was in sales, went into F&I and management. And then, I took a marketing degree in school. Started working in marketing, had a few of my own businesses. And then once Foundation started up, it was a great time to get back into automotive. So as VP of marketing, this is kind of, what I was born and bred to do. So it's a great fit, and it's honestly my dream job. So yeah, love doing it.
Fantastic. For those of you who don't know, Calgary and Houston might as well be the same city, only with a little different accent. Am I wrong?
Yeah, very much so. It's great here. I love it. I honestly, people ask me, okay, well, how do you handle the heat? Like, is that much better than minus 40? I'd prefer minus 40 to, plus 35 and 90% humidity. It's hard to get used to for so let's just say I'm constantly sweating.
Fantastic.
Ian, take it away.
So question, in your opinion, what is the definition of a trailblazer? Let's start with Cole.
Trailblazer, I think it's somebody that's changing the narrative and the preconceived notions of what automotive retail is, right? And if we're speaking of, automotive retail or automotive industry in general, right? There's tons in this day and age, people that are constantly setting the bar higher and making us all adjust our practices, right? Like I look at somebody like Elon Musk, even though he's, he'd be somebody that's kind of flipping the whole model, this franchise model up on its head. It's making everybody change the way they're doing business and the way that consumers are expecting the experience to be, the way employees want to be treated. Different ways to buy cars. So it's those are kind of people that I would look to when I think of, okay, that's somebody that I want to follow, that I want to chase to see how far we can go with this industry.
Thanks, Cole. William, what do you think?
I along the lines of what Cole said, a trailblazer for me is a person who will do what everybody else might be afraid to do or hasn't been done before. And I think people that think big, that have big vision and like to actualize what they're thinking, they think like that. I just from my personal experience, I got involved with public environment years ago when United Auto Group first went public, and because I had no general manager experience, my first general manager's job, and I wanted to be a general manager so bad that I took a Hyundai Isuzu Suzuki franchise or group of stores in an old Cadillac building.
Interesting.
And at the time, the Suzuki Samurai had just rolled over, so their sales were down by 90%. The Isuzu had the Rodeo and the Trooper, that for $199 and $299, and if you didn't lease it, you couldn't buy one. And then we had Hyundai with the XL for $49.95. It was a 3-speed stick, no air, and cardboard inserts in the doors. And that was my nobody those franchises. I wanted to be a general manager more than I wanted to worry about what the franchises were. And because it was the public environment and it was new to the industry, if you could take a store that was losing $1 million a year and make $5,000, you could affect earnings per share more than a store that made $2 million every single year, because it created public enthusiasm and the investment community would dive in. I didn't know anything about being a general manager, Isuzu, Hyundai, or Suzuki, or the public environment. But when I was able to turn the store to a $5,000 profit after years of losing lots of money, their earnings per share went up by, I think it was 14 cents in a quarter when they first went public. And with a couple 100 million shares out there, I became very, very popular in a hurry for reasons I didn't even understand. Because 5,000 wasn't a lot of money for a car dealership, and I knew nothing about the investment community. But then when I found out, kind of like Lewis and Clark, when you make your way into the Great Northwest and you start discovering places like Vancouver or whatever, you start to realize why you set out on the journey to begin with. And that's when I began kind of making that my passion. So they would start to transfer me all over the country to failing platforms. And I've lived all over the United States, and I've gotten to see a lot of great places. But to me, that doesn't make me the greatest trailblazer of all time. It just, you can't be afraid to look over your shoulder. There's a little risk involved. Some of it's calculated, some of it's blind. But I think not having a lot to lose has a lot to do with how much you gain in terms of being a trailblazer. So
wow. So true. So what's your advice of Suzuki globally?
Build a lot of motorcycles.
Andrew?
Yeah, it's funny, Bill, you say that, because I cut my teeth at a Suzuki store. I mean, that was where I cut my teeth, washing those cars, setting them around, and I begged for a job, and they wouldn't give me one. I begged for a sales job, and then finally Portland Auto Show comes around, and they go, they need some more staffing, and they go, well, heck, they hold up their shirt and they say, well, you fit this shirt, so go ahead and go get them. But yeah, it's Suzuki's a great story. So I think I'll agree with these guys too as far as a pioneer. For me, I think it's really simple. I think pioneers are guys who, or I think trailblazers are like pioneers. Really, yeah, they're blazing trails, and they're not just blazing trails where you want to go, but they're blazing trails for everybody to get down to. And I think that's what makes a trailblazer, somebody who can not really just identify markets and new product, but really take it down to the ground level all the way through to where that exchange really happens. Innovative, they're already disrupting the way consumers are behaving, the way our businesses are behaving. And so yeah, not only the guys that you want to follow, they're people that have laid that way for us to make it easier for us, like resistors or those other people. And they want to go the path that nobody wants to go. They've got that gut instinct, and they can actually take it all the way down to market. So that's what I take on.
Good answer. So
thanks for that,
Andrew. So seeing as how you're on screen with everybody right now, who else do you consider as a trailblazer in the retail automotive industry?
Oh, in the retail automotive industry, I think. When I think about that, I look at a couple different variations of trailblazers to me, at least in my travels. I think you got guys who, I worked for a wonderful group for I think 12, 13 years, and I saw that dealer principle twice. And it filled me up going, oh God, he's got all these groups. He's done a great Boylan Auto Group, and he's a great guy. He won the World Series in 1974. Got out, went to Portland. Got in with the Ron Tonkin group. But I thought, how did I not see this guy for 12 years? And then you realize, well, he spent 18 years doing what I'm doing right now, grinding it out, bringing the processes in, setting up the accounting processes, bringing it to market. And so you got guys like that who've taken a small opportunity, been really influential in our dealer body, taken about 11, I think he's got 11 plus GMs that he's put in the stores. That wasn't my exact story, but that's a trailblazer. You got guys, multi-generational car dealers right now, I think are what we're going to see a huge uplift is in Trailblazers. Cole, you might hear this all the time. Dealer sons, you get this. Dad owns a store. You get these things, but I don't think you realize that there are some amazing multi-generation stores going on right now where I'm watching right in my local town stores that have been here for 60 plus years, right? Grandpa had it, dad had it. Now, next thing you know, you get the third generation, and these guys are blowing up doing what Cole's doing. I mean, they got 22 stores in the last 5 years. They're running process procedures. They're really taking some of that empire, that hard work that their family put down, laid out, and they're making it forward. So that's a trailblazer. And I think guys like Bill. I mean, I know he's on the call and he's a guest on there, but Bill's a guy that I connected with. He was another guest on another show. After the show hung up, I pick up the phone, I call him, midday, hectic as heck. I don't know if it's a Monday or a Friday. We spent an hour on the phone with the guy, introduced me to hashtag level up. And guys like that, he's fulfilling his passion, but he understands how to get it down to the ground level and connect everything. He's bringing his people into the level up groups. He wants his people to be aware of all the stuff that we think. And we go to all these seminars, we study, we look, but getting that down to our people to start thinking the way we're thinking, I think is what makes somebody a trailblazer. So yeah, Bill, you're one of my trailblazers.
Oh, that's nice. So I guess he's going to feature you next time. Oh, who else? Now you already mentioned Elon Musk, so you can't mention him again unless you can pronounce his son's name. But who else do you consider a trailblazer in the retail automotive industry?
Well, I'm going to give a shameless plug here to our group, to my boss, our chief operating officer, Chuck Kramer. Honestly, just what you're saying there, Andrew, it's kind of learning from the past, but still embracing the future. And that's something that we've done so well in our group, and why we've been able to really turn a profit and really turn a lot of these stores around that have been, under market and underperforming. So yeah, absolutely what he's doing, what we've instilled in our group, right? Like even last week I was at Digital Dealer and got to attend all the, speak to all the different vendors at the convention, and attend some of the classes. And it's amazing how many groups, we talk about digital retailing, we talk about digital marketing, and how, this is the future, and how many stores still haven't embraced that, right? So, having somebody that's been in the industry like Chuck for 35 plus years, that's constantly looking forward and needing to adapt, that's how you stay relevant. That's how you blaze a trail in this industry. We've got a lot of really great partners that I'd consider trailblazers, right? So we're very much in partnership with Cox Automotive. So we utilize a ton of their tools, CRMs, right? So I would say what they're doing as far as, their automotive intelligence is amazing, right? We're able to identify in-market shoppers before they even submit a lead on our website. And it's things like that, it's innovations like that, I push my team, because I oversee the BDC as well, push my team in the BDC and in marketing to embrace these tools and utilize them, get on performance calls. So not only do we have we're actually learning how to make it benefit our business, but things like that. We've got another great partner that we've been working with. I know Ian, you know of him, Paul Lahal.
Yep.
He's a company called Connect AI. And so we've implemented that in all of our stores. And I got one case study in particular. Essentially what it is, it's a sales assistant. It's a fully conversational, artificial intelligence sales assistant that'll set appointments for you, and won't take sick days. It won't complain about, working overtime. It's really great in that regard. But, we got one store that we took from, I'm ashamed to say it, but we were a 7% closing ratio. And in a month and a half, we got up to 15%, which is our expectation, right? So, yeah, I think that really it's a combination of a lot of things. It's these big groups that allow us dealers to embrace technology and blaze some trails.
Terrific. Thank you very much for that. And William, how about from your end of things? What's your opinion?
I've been blessed to be around a lot. First of all, I'm older than the other two guests, so I've been around a lot more people than they have by default. So I'll have to say, without sounding overly ambitious, I was very fortunate to be with part of the first automotive group that went public, and I actually got to meet a guy by the name of, most people wouldn't know who he is. His name is Carl Spielvogel. And Carl Spielvogel, first off, he's of note. He brought the first advertising agency public in the United States. He also brought Hyundai to the United States. A lot of people don't know that. And lastly, he was the CEO of United Auto Group when they first formed and went public. And he took the first automotive group public, which has changed the landscape in this industry dramatically. And I got to watch all the gyrations that they went through up to and including the dark period after they first made their public filing. And I received stock options before I even knew what they were. And, it just totally amazing. And I'll mention two other guys in the industry. One would have to be a guy by the name of Sam DeFeo, who I worked with in Jersey City. Sam sold 14 stores, formed a management company called EMCO, Executive Management Company. Sam sold the 14 stores in his group to United Auto Group before they went public. When they formed United Auto Group and they went public, Sam was then hired back as the COO of the very same company he sold to the public company to become public, and served as a COO for many years of the company. There is a number of stores that in UAG's holdings that pay leases on his real estate. And on top of that, in somewhere in his late 60s now, spoke to him yesterday, he's now building up again on the private side post, the public environment. So, but he does it differently. I mean, his father was a baker in the 40s and 50s, Sam Sr., who passed away a few years ago. He was a baker. He had 6 bakeries in Jersey City and Hoboken. Everybody knew him. Big Italian area, obviously. Everybody knew him. Everybody went to his bakeries. Nicest guy in the world. Very personal touch with every single person. And Buick came to him at Buick Olds in the 50s and said they wanted to put a car dealership where one of his bakeries existed. He said, I'm not selling you the property. So then they said to him, well, what if we make you a car dealer? So he figured, I know everybody in this area, in a very densely populated area, right across from the Statue of Liberty. He put a Buick Olds dealer there. Ultimately, probably between him, his son, and his grandson, they've owned hundreds of dealerships. They became the first public company. And today, not today, but they did it a few years ago. They renamed Communipaw Avenue in Jersey City DeFeo Way. Wow. So from an Italian immigrant to a baker to a car dealer to owning hundreds of dealerships to being worth probably $1 billion to having a major thoroughfare in Jersey City, New Jersey named after you, that's a trailblazer to me. So I don't think, and I think the last I would name would be, a guy like Dale Pollock, who everybody on the call knows, that developed, the Velocity model, which essentially in one way, shape, or form is adopted by almost everybody in the industry at some level. And the guy's legally blind. I mean, it's amazing, totally amazing. So anyway, hopefully that helps the cause. But those people amazed me as trailblazers.
Wow, thanks for that. That's really interesting. So, did he retain ownership of the bakeries as well?
They're long since out of business.
Oh, okay.
But I think what had ultimately happened, he ended up owning somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 or 25 dealerships in the New Jersey area. I think in the beginning, he sold a lot. He sold his interests to raise capital for other franchises. I think he became very well aware that he didn't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning anymore, and he can make a lot more money, and he could wear a suit, and not get flour all over himself. But he dove in and became a full-time car dealer. But their name is still a household name in the greater New York and Jersey area.
Wasn't Sinatra from Hoboken?
Yeah, in fact, Hoboken, when you pull into Hoboken, there's a sign that says home of Frank Sinatra and the home of Little League Baseball. Little League Baseball was invented there.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
So question for you, referring to the changes that have happened in the last year, we're all heading to what appears to be the new normal. How do you think the changes we've seen, how is it going to affect the changes we've seen in the business in the last 16 months? What do you think the new normal is going to be, William?
Well, that's a loaded question. So it's like when people say, you turned around a dealership and you were able to make it make money. What's the one thing you did? Right. I wish I had that tie with that pattern hanging in my closet, but that's not the way it works. My opinion, I think when inventory, this is my hope, in my opinion, two different things. My hope is the manufacturers have realized that supply and demand is a thing. I hope they've realized that, because for everybody on this call, it's made us a lot of money, put additions on our houses, and bought us custom-made suits, hopefully. It's been an unbelievable. Without cars, we're making more money than we've ever made, right? So that's the amazing part. Two, I think it's teaching our managers how to be better managers and manage inventory better. Learn how to say no to a car deal that we don't need, for sure. But I think the biggest thing, the new normal for me, when things get back to what we might call normal, our new normal is going to be, there's going to be a lot more emphasis and focus on, being for the early bird to the worm, meaning, we're getting much better as an industry at understanding the digital sciences, much better understanding that you got to get to a customer 10 minutes or less, or someone else is going to get, not only will they get to them, but they'll take the car to them. They'll deliver the car at their house. They'll go pick them up. Now, candidly, whether it might have been quasi-legal or not, wherever I've operated, I've always done that. It always gave me an edge on the market. So what we're seeing now, to me, is just what I've always done. Now, there's more technology that allows us to legitimately do it and get paperwork signed and documentation done accurately. So I don't think you're going to see any less personnel in your dealership. I just think your people are going to be doing different things. If we're going to be hiring, the biggest thing to me, the people that we hire, the people that we employ, our business is going to be much more, I think, professional, meaning you can't just hire 15 people, take them up in a room, train them for 3 days, and then fire everybody who doesn't work out except for the two guys that have the best line of bullshit. I don't think our business is going to be that anymore. I think we're going to be able to hire a better caliber person. We're going to need to hire people with digital skills. They have to know how to turn a computer on and off and spend most of their time in that, and also be able to market themselves on the phone, because there's going to be many fewer customers in your showroom that just happen by. So to me, it's just a cultural mindset. I think technology is going to always be around. It's always going to evolve, but we're going to have a much more savvy individual that we hire even from the ground floor up. Just my opinion.
Well, thanks, Bill. Cool.
I actually have a question, gentlemen.
Oh yeah, we do.
From Bill Harvey, not Bill Camastro. So will the retail entity continue to figure out how to sell virtually, sell it to or in their home, and what training will be required? Who would like to answer that? Maybe Cole.
Sorry, can you repeat that? Excellent question. With retail, I think continue.
Perfect.
Virtually. Oh yeah, absolutely. I wanted to expand on that anyway. That's something that, as soon as the pandemic hit, we embraced in all of our stores is digital retailing, right? Understanding the customer journey and utilizing data to better make decisions on what tools we're going to use, what parts of the process we need to improve. I think that the pandemic just kind of it made all these dealers either adapt or die when it comes to an online experience, right? So you got to think, okay, well, if everybody's using these tools, what are some things that we can do to separate ourselves and differentiate ourselves? So, we started working on other ways to brand ourselves, right? Utilizing social media to increase that reach and explain how easy these processes are. 1, 2, 3, you can get a vehicle delivered to your house, right? The whole Carvana model, we adopt a little bit of that, right? Say, you apply online, you never have to come inside to a dealership. We'll drop it off at your house. We got some of our stores, our Henson stores in Madisonville, Texas. Tiny Madisonville, Texas, just north of Houston, 3,000 people. We got 150,000 people that follow us on social media, sell to every state throughout the country, right? Because people love our brand. They love what we do. We give away a car every month, and we explain this experience and make people a part of it, right? So we show, hey, it doesn't have to be the same way that it used to be. You can buy from anywhere, and we'd prefer that you buy from us. If you like us and you want to work with us, we'll sell to you. It doesn't matter where you live. So I hope that it continues, because I think that we're getting quite good at it. And we've, like I said, all of our dealers have embraced it, and we see that we've only really scratched the surface.
Andrew?
On that question.
Yeah.
You know, and the questions, the retail entity continue to figure out how to sell virtually, sell into their homes, and what kind of training are we going to have? I think, you know, one, I think this is still a retail person-to-person business, or a person business. So whether we're connecting with them digitally now, like we are together today, or we're connecting in a different way, I think what we have to continue to adapt to our digital retail. But I think it looks a little bit different than we thought it was going to look like when COVID first came out. I think we thought we were going to be able to sell this whole Carvana model way. We were going to put one CTA up on our website, and everybody's going to drive through, and then we're not going to have to talk to them. And so I think in the beginning, early adapters, we've spent a whole lot of time trying to figure out what tool we're going to use, and does our feeds fill into there, and does this feed fill into there, and our taxes aren't calculated correctly, and the customer checks out, that's not going to be correct. And I think really what we really needed to figure out was that, or to pay attention to, is that with the technology, with some of these AI tools and the automation coming, is that the manufacturers are like getting smarter, right? They've got these data share agreements with us now. And as a kid, I always thought, well, why, you know, you try to write ads, and you do your newspaper ads, and you try to put it out on the paydays, the right paydays of everybody, and the days that everybody's going. But now you can really change it. So we've got these layers where we're going to connect with our customer down the sales funnel. And I think the retailing tools and the technology now is allowing us to catch those customers well before they're our typical form submission people that we see when they go to our site, or they find a link and they put their information on, and it goes into the same type of a bucket. So I think as these Cox Automotives and these digital airstrikes and these digital retailing tools continue to develop, we will continue to develop our integration and connectivity. I think that's what's going to happen over us. You know, consumers are becoming more accountable in our industry than they've ever been. You know, Bill hit it right, that the connectivity with what we're doing and the customers. I mean, look, customers now, we have to be more professional in our industry. So as we are transparent with the customers, now customers are giving us a much better look. In other words, they'll schedule a test drive. I mean, I don't think I've seen more scheduled test drives in my entire life over the last year. And customers will call and say, can I schedule a test drive? I mean, in my life, I mean, you're out there waiting anytime. You'll do anything. You will go to death for the customer just to, you know, once you have them. And now we can kind of take a little bit step back and say, hey, look, we can provide you the experience you're looking for. And I think that's where some of these manufacturers are figuring out. It's not the stock, the promote, the 15K off. It's like, let me help you start at the buying process you're at and get you down. And the better that these dealers in ourselves can use the tools that are available and connect them, I think we'll continue to do digital retailing. And it won't look like they're going to buy a car 100% from the dealer. You know, it won't look that way. But it will look like, hey, we're going to catch you in the act now, right? We're going to catch you, and we're going to put you back through, and we're going to figure out where you're at, and we're going to change the way we do business in terms of how we identify where you're at in your buying process, so we can better consult you. So yeah, I think it has to change, and I think the tools the dealers are going to train is the technology and the tools that some of these wonderful vendors are putting out.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think what I've found as I've went through the car buying process over the last 2 years personally is there's dealers who just don't get it and are still operating like it was 20 years ago. And there's dealers that are like, yeah, how can we make it easy for you? And technology is part of it. But more importantly, it's you can anticipate where that customer is now with technology a lot earlier, but it's how you handle that customer between that point and to sale. And people are only coming in maybe 1.2 if they don't like the first experience. So you really have to do it right out of the gate. And more importantly, you can do it today with training and technology, but customers really don't want to come in just to kick tires as much anymore. And I think that's a good thing for dealers. What do you think, Wood?
Say it again.
What do you think about the training side?
What do I think about the training side? Well, I think that, quite honestly, I'm not a big fan of, on the separate to that, but part and parcel of it is the off-site training. I'd like it to be in store, first of all. But most importantly, I think, again, it goes back to the type of individual that we hire. Because back in the day, we'd hire somebody that had a good line of shit. Excuse me. But nowadays, you have to have skills. You have to have skills. So to train people to do what we want them to do at a higher level, their capacity has to be greater. And, today I find myself, I like to meet everybody we interview, and I do a lot of the interviewing myself. As big as we are, I still want to make sure the person across the desk from me, person thinking somewhat at my level, or at least with a similar capacity to understand the digital media and so on. Like, for example, in our meetings, even for sales, I put up our analytics by day and by month, and then do a comparison year over year. I show that to the salespeople. I show them the journey of the customer from where they could even click on your site and do a little research to the point where they go down the funnel to a lead, and then what our BDC responses are, our response times, and all of our percentages for shows, appointments, and we look at all of that because I want them to understand the journey of the customer. And if I was hired as a salesperson today, I would probably be lost if I hadn't been in the business for 37 years. Because when I started, if you had a gray jacket and a blue jacket and a gray pair of pants and a tie, you got a job if you could spell your name right, because they would get rid of you in 5 minutes if you couldn't sell cars. Here's a phone, here's a desk. If you're the bottom 10%, you're fired every month. And that was a case where I started. Now it's, we make better hires because we have to be able to qualify them to follow those rules and regulations and roles that we need them to be in. So, I mean, that's my take on training. I don't think it's any more sophisticated than that.
So the question that we have here again, Bill, thanks, Bill. We like those questions, Mr. Harvey. So have we figured out how to transact different than our traditional 40-year-old model? And, what about things like the changes Apple made with respect to app tracking? Does that modify your approach?
It doesn't modify my approach, candidly. I mean, I don't think that app tracking, the app tracking attribute is gonna make that much of a difference in my opinion. And what was the other part of the question? I want to make sure I'm clear.
Just have we figured out how to transact differently than the traditional 40-year-old model? But before you answer that, we have DocuSign, right? We have apps that allow you to transact at home. And I understand the question is, well, if we transact at someone's house and the app is tracked, do they grab the customer's information? This is just my opinion, but the covers are off. If you're on the internet at all, the covers are off. If they can get Donald Trump's tax returns or what Bill Gates made last year from then I don't know. I'm not saying you should hang your dirty laundry out there, but I don't think there's that much that other than us protecting their customers' information the way we should. If outside entities want to get that information and work hard enough, they might just get it. So I don't know that it should change your approach, because you might just take yourself out of the fast lane by thinking that way. I'll say this. May any dealer have the kind of interest in their business that Trump's tax returns have, you'd be richer than he is. Well, I don't know how rich he really is anymore. Some of the most question for everybody, and we'll ask them, is one. I've seen a lot of things this week from the Digital Dealer, and these are posts of people getting pictures. A guest that we've had is Melanie Borden. I've seen a lot of people. Wow, I met Melanie Borden. Oh my God, I'm just gonna die here. And almost all of them are now about face-to-face meetings with good friends that they've met during the pandemic and never met personally. With all these people I've connected to, you, Andrew, well, except for Ian, and Gail Rubenstein, I've never met any of you face to face. But wow, one day I look forward to it because it's going to be buddy, or lady friend. Other than your fellow panelists here, who have you met virtually that have changed your business? And actually, I'm going to ask that to Cole.
I would say it'd be all of our vendor partners, our performance managers, implementation teams, right? Within Cox Automotive, I see Russell Hill is on the call as well. We work very closely with Russell Hill and his business Fixed Ops Marketing in all of our stores, right? And if we didn't have them, these people that are, able to work from home and still continue to do their job and help us with, implementing this new technology and building our new websites for our new acquisitions and training our staff on this new CRM tool when we're bringing in bin solutions or dealer track, right? We're doing a DMS switch. All these people are working remotely. I've never met any of these people, but I'm incredibly thankful. Like we wouldn't be able to honestly do business without these people. So it's been really incredible. That's the biggest impact. I still have to travel a lot. I travel half of the month every month. Just 'cause we got stores all over the country, right? So still spend a lot of time and try to meet, key personnel like my main performance managers and each of the vendors that we're working with safely, of course. But this year it's luckily I've been able to still get a lot of face-to-face time and meet people head on.
And that's coming from a guy who's relocated to the place where they had 38,000 people at a football game. So, hopefully that keeps going. And in a way, the pandemic has been a blessing in disguise because virtually we have connected with people we would never, ever connect with, never even dream of connecting with. Andrew, seeing as how you might be the most beneficial of this, being basically single point store in a small location, who have you met virtually that's changed your business?
Well, it's interesting, we're single point, and I think some of the smaller dealers. I mean, if you're a Ford store, you're referred to as a select or a conservative. If you're a Stellantis store, you're a Tello or a main store. But I think some of us smaller stores, we never have had a bunch of reps coming in here. Our town, we don't have. I've worked at a bigger store where these guys come in and they pump your salespeople up, and of course, in-house training and in-house it creates energy and vibes. And so, one of the challenges some of our smaller stores has always had is, we're always phone called in, and before video was a big deal, I don't know if you feel this, but you feel like a little disconnect, and it's hard to energize your people. I remember as a kid when our factory rep would walk in, I would literally stick right by him and get his contact and call him. And sure enough, those guys ended up growing up with me, and then, you know them really well, and some of them have done well. But so what for guys like us, it's a treat because the rest of the world kind of put to our field. We're now, I agree with Cole. It's much of these vendors, these implementation people, the back end performance managers. It's amazing how much connectivity you have with them now than you've as compared to before. And we were already conditioned essentially to kind of work through that format. Maybe not just quite with the video chats, but we're able to. And so look, have never met you guys. Got on the level up, #level up. Ended up there's a gentleman from a VP down in from Digital Airstrike, Scott Pecksning. Great guy, was on that show. He found out that I was implementing his product. He reached out to my performance manager. We spoke, and the real cool thing about that is that there's stuff like, for us at this level, we've got, I think there was 27 different digital retailing tools that was announced with Stellantis over the last 15 months. So we've got different tools cramming down our throat, and it does this. But I think the real thing for me is that to get these connections with these outside sources, we need connectivity. We need to use these tools. We've got 50 different tools. We need connectivity. And it goes back to the training. We have to pick a few tools to train our people on. Everybody has to have 4 monitors or 3 monitors now, because you got to have 5 different dashboards for a chat system, a digital retailing, a CRM, a DMS system, and a trade tool. And so to have vendors that you can meet that you wouldn't necessarily have met, he calls over there and we say, hey, we'd like to really, like, what do you want to do? We really want to embed some of these digital retailing dynamic links right into our autoresponder. Performance, it's not typical what it does. Calls over the team. after that meeting, and here we go. We've got them in works, and we've already got them going out on some of our autoresponders, and those are the kind of connections that I think have really been valuable during this virtual meeting. Never would have had a chance to meet that guy, never, even at another meeting. So that's what I think is really nice about this.
Terrific. I do have to say, a person you may want to connect with who's been a guest with us a couple of times, being in a small center, a small Ford store, is Rob Ruth, if you aren't connected. And
Okay.
Rob's he's a 600 car a month store in a town that's probably smaller than St. Helens. So,
and also
anyway,
Ben Smith in Halifax has done wonders with the store he bought recently. He's a Ford operator. He took the store from 60, which I think is their best month ever, to over 200 a couple months in with no inventory.
Halifax is huge, ain't it?
Yeah.
Get it there, John. Mr. Camastro, last person on the question. So, who have you connected with? Now, mind you, I have to say you have you're developing such a big thing with Level Up. So, who have you met virtually that's changed your business?
Well, I see. For me, I like to put together. The reason why we did #Level Up, it's nowhere near as organized as the AutoHub show, which is why I'm glad I'm here, because I'm going to steal a lot of stuff from you guys.
Hey, versa.
I'm just kidding. I do like the sign though a lot. But
that's the end.
So we, our #Level Up was done for a lot of reasons. One, I find now in my career that the more I try to give or help other people with, not that I'm the last word, but if anything I can do to help people improve their businesses, it comes back to me in spades. We were on a call just a couple of days ago, and Andrew was on there as well. And we have a really sophisticated, I would say it's fairly sophisticated BDC lead process, and right down to delivery. And he said something that all my managers were on the call, and he said something that really got me thinking, because although I understand and believe in it, it's the one metric I never really, I have the metric, I have it measured, but I never really tied anybody's compensation to it. I never really, and then Josh Leader from the Sands Automotive Group started talking about the same thing. And after all my years of doing this and having some success, I had to eat some humble pie and put my ego in my pocket and say, okay, well, just hearing that makes me realize there's something I can improve my game. So I think along the lines of what Andrew said, the access by Zoom meetings, go to whatever, Skype, however you do it, just having that free information flow that we now currently have, it takes down a lot of boundaries. It helps me change my business, because I'm not done learning. I'm a long way from a finished product, but having these smart, young, bright minds around me is really what's helped change my business. It helps me not become a dinosaur. I'm 59 years old, and I feel like a young guy, but I've been around a long time. And my first car, you could see the ground through the floorboards, and it wouldn't go in reverse. That was my first car, and it was a Datsun Honeybee. So just to give you a little FYI.
Now, Bill, because you've been around so long, I need to know this though. When you sold it, did you put wood in there on the floorboards, cover it with blue carpet to and undercoat it before you sold it?
Well, the glib answer is I couldn't afford all the tools to get that to happen. But what I did do, and this is God's honest truth, in the state of New York at that time, you could register your car in the Bronx, but you had to have a bumper. The car didn't have a bumper; it had the two stanchions. So I took a 2x6. I painted it black, and I bolted it to the two stanchions, to the two supports, and it passed inspection, because you were allowed to do that back then. You couldn't do it now, obviously, because the car was completely unsafe. If I hit anything with the car, it would have just crumbled into a pile of rust. But I say that because the world has changed so much. The thing that's changed my business, my approach to my business most, is my approach to being open-minded to listening to other people, to be perfectly honest with you.
Well, that's the difference in a dinosaur and a I don't know what it is, but dinosaurs are gone.
Right. I don't want to be gone.
That's right. Well, folks, Ian?
Any final thoughts? Jeff?
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This has been a very lively show, and we appreciate it. And everybody on today are first timers for us. Hopefully, you'll keep tuning in and keep it going, guys. Everything's just great stuff, and we're all learning tremendously. And thank you, Ian. I'll leave it to you to close off.
Yeah, if anyone wants one of these backgrounds, there's a bunch of sign companies that have websites, and you can create these things for free. If you want to buy the sign, you can, but
Ian, you're supposed to
it's
charge.
cool.
Mine's real, actually.
You can even do different fonts if you want. You can do different stuff. It's cool, actually. Just look it up online. And if you want the video, just send me an email or just reach out to me on LinkedIn, whatever's easier. I'll send you that video. And this will be up later tonight. Thanks very much for everyone for joining. Appreciate all the input and the thoughts. And have yourself a great week. Sell lots.
Yes, keep safe.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks so much
for inviting us.
Yep, no worries. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.